Welcome everyone in part 6 of video tutorial how to create the Kawoosh. In this part we are finally jumping straight to the shader editor and we will create material for our Kawoosh. And we will create some base material and we will add on top of that some emission. So without further ado, let's jump straight to Blender.
Welcome to Digital Imposter.
So before we will start, let's go back to geometry nodes. There is few things we have to address and fix. So I use here compare, where is selection. Let's change this to less than. Let's see how it looks, the selection. To make sure how it looks, and change this to 001. Let's hide puddle. Yes. So this is what I want to create, this mask. And we can clamp it. And over here also, where is the compare, right? We can change to greater than. Then we can change to 0.001. And this way you have only one value to control the mask. 001. Great. So let's select, connect this. Great. So next thing which I want to address, where is noise 2, the strength, change to 0.05. And that's all for now. If I find some mistakes or things to change, I will address that in the next videos in future. So let's go back to our shader editor. So another thing I want to do, change this a little bit because I really don't like how it looks. I hate those folders. I never use them. So let's change that to 3D viewport. We will create the same view over here because I like have a lot of free space here when I work with the shaders, right? So let's set this over here. Move this here. Change to dev look. Now let's go here. Press the HDRI preview. So now we have those balls here. Another thing, what we want to do is to see the background, right? So the world opacity, we put to 1. And as you can see on the right side, we have blurred, and here we have very sharp. So we will change that. So if you want to know what kind of value it use, it's here 1 and blur 0.5. So let's blur, put 0.5. Great. So we don't need this anymore. So let's close it. Boom. And this is what I like to have. And usually I move this here, this editor, view. Sometimes I'm using to open any kind of image or reference photo, whatever, if I need when I'm creating the shader. This way I look at the shader over here. I can press even the render view, and we are here. Another thing I want to change, let's go to the world, and we will add the HDRI over here because I don't like this gray color. It doesn't help to create the shaders in my opinion. So press Ctrl T, and Blender will add those 3 nodes, and make sure you have turned on in edit, we go into preferences, right? And add-ons, and type Wrangler, and it's on. And as you can see, everything is pink, so we have to choose HDRI texture. So open. I already download the HDRI from HDRI Haven. They are for free. Like this one here, and we can see in DevLook our HDRI. So, but if you don't want to see our HDRI in DevLook, go to render. Where is the film? Press transparent, and that's great. So from world, let's back to object, and now we will start creating our shader. So let's go to the material. We don't have to delete this. Let's change this to Kawoosh. Kawoosh. Yeah, it's very original name. We will not need this attribute anymore, but in case if you want to use it in future to see your selection or something like this, just press Alt and drag, and this will disconnect, and we can keep this for later. Delete the principal BSDF, we will not need it. Add the nodes. Now which one? Glass BSDF. IOR, this factor IOR, let's change to 1.33. And next one, we will add the emission. Next one, mix shader. And let's connect this one. And let's connect this one over here. And let's turn off this one. We can see the water right now. Okay. So to create quite good looking Kawoosh effect, it's all about the colors. We have to choose really good looking colors. So for the glass BSDF, which pretends to be a water, right? We will choose something bluish, but not too strong bluish. And emission, also we will choose a little bit darker. Should be okay. So now we need some mask to control this factor, right? We need some kind of noise or some kind of node that will control this factor, which will tell shader which parts of the shader should be glass and which one should be emission. And the node we will choose is the layer weights. Okay, and we will use, this is Pernell, so basically white will be first, everything what is dark second, or opposite, we will see. And this is the pacing. This is how it works, and this is what we will choose, pacing. And so let's this pacing to the factor. Control Shift to connect this one, and looks not so bad. And but it's too much. Let's change this to 3.5. Great. So next thing, what we will need, I'm sorry, I'll make mistake, but we will need this layer weight, but a little bit later. So disconnect this one. So first we will add the noise texture. This is the noise will drive our mask for those two shaders, like this over here. The scale, scale 3, scale 3, detail 1, and that's all right now. Yeah, looks good, not so bad. So what we will need is, for vectors, is texture coordinate. Plug the object to the vector. No, now looks better, not so bad at all. And I want to animate this noise texture, so let's change to 4D and let's create the setup for animation. So Shift A, search value node, hashtag frame, and math node, change to divide, plug this over here, and this we will divide by 120 frames and plug this over here. Great. So next thing what we will do, because actually we will this setup we will use 2 more times in this shader. So Ctrl G. So let's expose the scale, detail, roughness. Basically we create our own noise texture, which we can animate. And this one and this value, press N. Let's go to the group here and we call it speed. Great. So let's go back, and this is how it looks for us. So instead of have a lot of nodes, now we have just one and all the things we can control here. So noise anim. Let's call this noise anim. Great. So let's copy the emission. Let's make this value a little bit, this color I mean, brighter. Somewhere over here. Let's change this to 3. Copy the shader mix. The mix shader, plug this emission over here, and now we are using the pacing for our shader editor, for our Kawoosh I mean. Looks okay, looks great. This is too bright a little bit. As I said, we have to hit the right colors for the Kawoosh. And here search, let's search color ramp. Okay, change this to B-spline, so now the gradient is much more smoother. And let's move this over here. Let's put this on 0.4. Yeah, and now this emission is much more subtle. This is way too strong, so we crunch this emission to be much more gentle. Great. Yeah, looks good. And now let's add the frame. Let's put this everything to frame. And let's call it base color. Choose the color. Let's choose something bluish. So ugly. Make it brighter. Oh, one is really nice. And 48. So we could see it. Nice. So now what we are going to do, we will create the emission for the back, this part over here. So let's start from to add the separate, Shift A, separate XYZ node, because we will use the Y value. It depends which direction your Kawoosh open. Maybe it will be X or Z, I don't know. You would have to check to make sure if you know which axis to use. Just go over here, let's see, viewport gizmos, right, and press move. This way you will know which because right now we use global axis, but if we will change to local, then you will know which axis you should choose, right? Let's turn off this. Okay, so it's Y. So when we press Y, right now it's black, right? So let's search coordinates or texture coordinates, and we plug object. Object basically means it's like a local coordinate. So now you can see we have this gradient, right? And we will use this gradient to create the mask where the emission shader, white-ish emission shader, will show up here to create this effect of light. So next thing we will add is this node. So Control C, Control V, and move over here. Don't use Control Shift D, because if you do Shift D, you cannot take out the node from the frame. So always when you're using frame, use Control C, Control V, and then G to move it. So let's plug this here, and to connect those two, Shift A, we will use the Mix RGB node. Set this to linear light. Factor over here. Wait. Let's go here. We have to expose another expose for the output, the color, because this is the color we need. Go back, and if I remember, yes, also the node over here is updated. So we will use the color over here. Keep this on 3:1, okay, but the speed we will change to 240. Now you see we have this kind of influence here with black, white, and colors over here, but don't worry. We will press clamp. And we will use now the map range. Shift A. Map range. So this is how it looks. So first let's change to smoother step. Okay, great. We can move this down. Right now not, so let's change this to 3.5. Great. But remember to bring this more bright, this one, yeah, so 3. And this value we will put way back. I think will be -1.5. We'll see how it works for our shader. So plug this over here, plus press Ctrl Shift to connect this one. Okay, so the shaders are plugged in the wrong slots. Of course, you could change colors over there, but we will use just simple solution. We will change over here. Okay, looks good, not so bad. And press 3. The value. Yeah, looks good. Looks good. Let's see. Yeah, looks nice. Really nice. Okay. And if you want, you can control... if you want, you can use the same values from here, the color for the shader over here. It's up to you. So next thing, what we will do, we will create the emission in front of the Kawoosh. But before we will do that, let's put our emission, this one, to the frame. So next animation is a little bit more complicated because we have to create the circle. And we want this circle was moving with Kawoosh. So let's start from creating the circle. So first what we'll need is the coordinate node. Let's zoom in. Let's hide this tab. Shift A, length. Not length. It's vector math node. Change to length. Not UV and not object. What we will need is generated. What does do is so if I let's show you here viewport display, and it should be on bounding box. Okay, so we see the bounding box, right? So you see, when we play, this bounding box is changing our UV coordinates. This is how I understand. I'm probably not correctly, but this is how I understand what is going on. At least I'm trying to explain myself. So when we will choose object, right? When we choose object, so origin is over here of the object. So even if this wall is shrinking, this stays in the same place. So if we set the light in the front, so even the box will shrink, the light will stay here. Finally, it will stay outside of the box. So suddenly you have light will show up when you hit this place, and when Kawoosh will close, the light will disappear. And we don't want that, right? I use is generated. So basically, what it's doing is like with every frame, it generates the UV for this Kawoosh effect. So even when it's extending and shrinking, the light will always stay. Yeah, the emission will always stay on the top of this Kawoosh. So now let's open this. Let's change the view to front, and as you can see, we have black over here. I mean, this is from this side we should. So now, and this is gradient. Here is the center. Here is the center, the most black, and its gradient is going here. So we have to move the center over here. And there are two ways to do it. Shift A, search a mapping node. And now I want to make this gradient more crash, so we could see actually the circle. So we will need two nodes. Shift A, mix RGB, copy this mix RGB. One change to the color burn. Where is it? It's here. Oh, we can already see a little bit more, you see. And change this to black. Great, so this will control our radius of the circle, and add this one, change to color dodge, and this one will control, if you see over here, focus over here, it controls our gradient for the circle. Let's put 0 because we want to have really nice gradient, and put this pure white. And you can clamp both. So our circle is a little bit too big, but we will change that in a moment. So now let's try to match our circle to the center. So we will move on X minus 0.5, and Z axis is, if I remember, minus 0.5. Yeah, it's center of our circle. And now the size. Great. See? Great, so move over here. So now we are shrinking our circle. Okay, it's the way it should be. Nice, really nice. Let's put this on 0.9. I like really, the whole numbers are really nice, but you can choose whatever you want. Okay. So now we will add a little bit of noise, because if you look from the side, it's basically a straight line. And I want to give a little bit waviness here. No? So we will add that right now. So we will need this node. And by the way, this node and this setup also is creating this kind of waviness. Let's see over here. Adds over here this kind of because we would have if you see, we will have straight hard line over here, right? But with this one, that's why we mixing those colors with the object with vector. And actually we don't have to put this one. It's better if we put this here, put this over here. And now, if you see what I'm talking about? Now we don't have any more straight line. It's very wavy. So we are going to create the same thing over here. So we didn't have a straight circle. We want a little bit make the edges of the circle much more wavy. So next thing what we will do, we will move this right. We will copy this node. Let's change this to the light linear light. Plug this over here. Let's copy our noise animation. And remember, it's Control C, Control V, and G to move. Otherwise, it will stuck in this frame. Put this over here. Drag our color noodle to the linear light color 2 input input. And we will need 240 speed. We already messed this up pretty well, but don't worry, we will fix that. Let's check if scale, we will keep the same scale, everything the same. Okay. Let's make more space. So to control this gradient over here, we will add, and I'm pretty sure you already guessed, another map range node. Map range node. Great. Let's keep it linear. So let's see. Okay, it's like this. Don't worry about that. It can be. Okay, so this is what you see. It's reaching over here. Sorry, we make mistake. 0.9 here. Stupid me. It should be very subtle. 0.1. So to control the noise pattern, we can search mapping. Mapping. We can plug here, and this way you can change the noise pattern wherever you want. So we can expose those and then play with those values. Location, let's see how the location will look. Node group, nodes, inputs. Let's move this to the top. Great. Hide this. So yeah, now we can play with the values we want. Okay, skip this one and we see this the same here. Okay, great. Okay, great. So let's see how it looks. Looks good. Great. Let's plug this here. And let's see our Kawoosh. Yeah, it looks great. So now to finish this one, let's add our frame. Over here. Awesome. So we finished making a shader for our Kawoosh effect.
So let's talk about next video, because I don't want you to be surprised. I know since the episode 1 till 5th, we were sitting in geometry nodes creating the Kawoosh. That was fairly simple. Next video, we are starting creating material step by step for puddle. This material for puddle, right? It's quite complicated because it involves few effects combined together to create the Kawoosh effect. So I want you just to be prepared. Now will be few videos. I don't know how many, but I'm guessing will be maybe 4 to 5. I will try to make it as less videos, as short as possible. I don't want to make 1 hour video, tutorial, whatever. Personally, I don't like so long videos. I like when it's 20 minutes, 25 minutes is the max. So thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you are new to this channel and like the video, because this really helps me. I would love to build this channel and community. Don't forget, press the notification ring bell just below, because you will be notified when the new video will drop. And I will not waste any more of your time. So I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.